Life can be very complicated, especially when you're dealing with the legacy of upsetting or distressing past events. Therefore, it's very natural to want to simplify life. This is part 4 of a 4-part series on how to successfully do that. And what I'm sharing here by far is the best way I have found of simplifying life. We can unlock simplicity by understanding how the human mind works. So it applies to everybody. Everybody has a human mind. And if that sounds a bit complicated, don't worry, because it's actually simpler than that. So the practical impact of this understanding is that you can recover and move on from distressing and upsetting past events. It's worth just revisiting for a moment some of the key points about this understanding of the human mind that we've touched on in earlier parts of this series. And that is first that we have, all of us, a flow of thought passing through our mind. And these thoughts, each thought will create a feeling. So we have a physiological echo in our bodies of whatever we're thinking. And that flow of thought is incredibly powerful because it effectively creates the personal reality that we live in. Now, when it comes to experiencing that reality, that personal reality, we can only do that in the present moment. So in a way, the present moment, the here and now, is the only time that we can experience anything. So how is this connected to past events then? Well, think back to an interview with an old soldier. I'm sure you've seen this on TV sometimes. Perhaps there's an anniversary or a commemoration, and the presenter on the TV interviews a veteran from the particular campaign, and you can see sometimes that the old soldier gets really quite emotional, choked up possibly, even tearful, remembering events from 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago. How does that happen then? Because those events are a long time ago. Well, we can see that if we can only experience in the present moment, then that soldier on the interview is actually experiencing something in the present moment that's bringing those emotions. And that driver of those emotions are the thoughts that particular person's having at the time. So if we could think here of a sort of timeline, something happens in the past. Now that event, at the time it happened, we could find very, very distressing, very, very upsetting. And I don't want to make light of that. All of us have been through tough times, and some people have been through some incredibly tough times. So this is a description of how it works rather than any judgment on anybody here. So an event happens in the past, and I'm going to use an example that's perhaps a little bit more work related, because this is actually an inquiry I had a few months ago which set me thinking about some of this that I'm sharing now. A particular company who had customer service staff was inquiring about how to help those service staff dealing with the aftermath of abusive customers. Now, somebody on the front line of customer service, an abusive customer can be a really distressing event, and these customer service people were having a legacy of that. They were still somehow struggling with that, and they wanted to get over it. So how could that be done? Well, let's say then that a month ago this person has a distressing event with an abusive customer. At the time, they have really strong feelings, the customer service person has really strong feelings as a result of that, which comes from their thinking at the time it happened. Now roll on a month to the present day. If that customer service person is going to think back, either voluntarily or not, because sometimes thoughts come to mind, don't they, completely unbidden. If those thoughts are such about that event a month ago, they will create a strong feeling again in the here and now. And it looks as if, at a cursory glance anyway, it looks as if that past event has some way of reaching out across the month to grab that person in the here and now. But back to our timeline, that can't happen. There's no direct way that that past event can create an experience today. What is creating that sense of continuity is what's going on in the person's mind. So what we can generalize now from that is to say that when we have something, any of us, something that happens that we find distressing or upsetting, then sometimes we've got over it without really too much effort. I guess you can relate to this. I'm sure you can think back to occasions where you've been really upset, but you're not upset now. So something changed, didn't it? You know, something naturally happened, which means that what was an upsetting experience back then is not actually impacting you directly now. But I guess, say, if you do start thinking a lot about that event, you could conjure up some of those feelings again. I'm not suggesting you do that, but that is the way the mechanism works. That's how the mind functions. So knowing that, then it means that we have, all of us, built in a gift of resilience. We can get over things if we don't keep inadvertently recreating them in our mind. So there's a sort of inevitable conclusion from this, which is if we feel those feelings coming back, those emotions or a sense of distress from about something that happened in the past, we know that actually we're not a victim of that past event. It's actually what's happening in our mind now that is causing those feelings. Now, it's just as well that that is true, because if a past event could reach out and still directly impact us now, we'd be stuck, because there are events in the past, you know, we can't change them, we can't undo them, they happened. So the fact that they can't directly impact us now is a relief, it's a liberation, because we know that we can get over something because there isn't that direct link. So that's the secret, if you like, the heart of human resilience. And knowing that and seeing that actually it's already been in play for you in your life in the past, it's all there, you're all fully wired for it, it's there, it can happen again. You can get over things without a lot of effort and distress and time. Time has nothing to do with it. So just as the old soldier, they can still get upset 70 years later. Whereas maybe something that happened last week that really upset you doesn't bother you now, because time is not the critical factor. So I'll let you reflect on that, and any questions or comments, please share those, please. And just to remind you that the previous 3 parts of this series are now available, and the links for those are in the description. And if you want to be notified on similar videos covering topics like this, then please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.